How's it going, team? Welcome back to Muddy Feet. Today's episode is an epic freediving adventure out of Tauranga. The main target species for today is crayfish, but we're also hoping to pick up a few fish with the spearguns and gather ourselves a feed of fresh green lip mussels. It's a pretty action-packed day with some pretty incredible scenery, so grab yourself a comfy spot, kick back and enjoy this week's mission.
Out there.
For today's adventure, I'll be joining my mate Joe on board his beautiful vessel and we'll be leaving out through the Tauranga entrance. So, as usual, I throw a bit of a food offering to Te Kuia Rock for safe passage and for good fortune. In no time at all, we've arrived at our first dive location for today, so there's nothing left to do but do it. We're going to have to strip down and get into our wetties. It is still very much winter at this stage, so this part of the process is definitely not my favourite, but once you're in, it's all good. We jump in and start having a really good mooch around, but I've got to say, in this first spot, it was all pretty quiet. At one point, Joe found this nice little cray hiding under a rock, but we decided he was probably a little bit too small. So after a bit more looking around, we decided this spot was a little bit too quiet for us, so I just grabbed a few prickly snack packs and headed back to the boat for a bit of a feed while we made a plan about what we were going to do next. After a quick snack and a chat, we decided not to overthink it and just to trundle another couple of 100 metres down the coast and drop in at a new location. Oh well, dive number 2. We're on. As soon as I hit the water in this spot, I can see it's a lot more lively, and the first thing that I notice is a good sized group of blue Maomao hanging around the anchor. And blue Maomao, although they are small, they are very delicious as sashimi. So I quickly load up my spear gun and drop down and try and line one up. Blue Maomao are certainly not the smartest fish in the sea, so simply by dropping down and sitting nice and still in the seaweed, they end up coming far too close, and I'm able to pick out a slightly thicker model and squeeze off a shot. I'll whip out my dive knife and quickly dispatch this tasty little fish, remove the spear and pop him into the float boat. I quickly reload my gun and drop back down. I want to try and secure a handful of these tasty little morsels as quickly as possible. The visibility was absolutely beautiful and I was having a pretty cool dive and a pretty hearty old slay up on the blue Maomao. Unfortunately, that's right about when things went a little bit wrong. Ratchet, just finished our second dive and just jumped back on the boat. I've just checked out my camera and somehow the settings have changed to time-lapse. So I've got a time-lapse of all my last dive, but don't actually have any footage. I've had a very unfortunate operator error with the camera and I've somehow switched it over to time-lapse. So I have about 10,000 photos of the last dive, but no good footage other than the shots of the blue Maomao. Not a heck of a lot did happen at this spot, so we pulled in the float boat and decided to head further up the coast again and have another lucky dip dive and see what we could find. Alright, another spot, another dive, bit of a lucky dip, who knows?
It's a new one for me, but all these bays usually hold pretty well.
Sweet.
Spot X, secret location.
Sheesh. The viz is pretty mean. I reckon we'll find something in there, no doubt. Give it a whirl. Let's get amongst that mean. I like to do a quick quality check on the kinners before I go and harvest myself a whole heap, just in case they're really skinny. I don't want to grab a whole heap of kinners that aren't really worth it. Fortunately for me, this is a pretty cool opportunity to feed a few of the local fishers. Today I've got this super curious leather jacket that comes a little bit too close, so I decide to see if I can do a bit of a hand catch. Turns out these guys have got some pretty good grip and they're not too hard to snatch. Now, these leather jackets are actually pretty tasty and they're pretty easy to prepare, and on occasion I certainly do harvest a few for the table, but this one's not very big and I decide he's a little bit skinny, so I give him a little bit of a feed and send him on his way. In this particular area, there seems to be quite a lot of these beautiful wrasse. Now, these guys are definitely not on the menu, and it seems like they know it. These guys are super curious, and it's quite fun to give them a bit of a feed. While I'm over here having a whole heap of fun, starting to think I'm Aquaman and feeding the fishes, the bro Joe has actually been on the tools and he's managed to find a pretty decent sized cray under this bit of a bommy. So he drops down, goes for the snatch, and sure enough secures himself a good sized bug.
So nice red. Yo! I'll go get the other one.
Whoa, man, I'll grab that boat.
He's fully intact too. That's a good red.
It's a good bug, bro. Woo! Not bad.
Is it in a good little cave, that one?
Different kinds of color.
Go on then, let him go. The diving adventure today gets better and better as the day goes on, I can assure you, but at the stage we are both absolutely starving, so we head back to the boat to make ourselves a tasty catch and cook snack. We absolutely nail that plate of sashimi and decide that we're still both pretty hungry for something a little bit more substantial. So Joe very kindly decides to sacrifice his big beautiful crayfish, and he's come very well prepared. So next on the menu for today is crayfish with cream, lemon, salt and pepper and a big knob of butter, cooked on the Weber barbecue. With a belly full of some of the nicest seafood that New Zealand has to offer, I'm feeling remotivated, charged up and ready to get this assignment completed. We move to one more dive spot in this area where I'm going to jump back in, and this time I'm committed to finding myself some decent sized crayfish and getting a few in the bag to take home for my friends and family. We've gotten pretty lucky at this spot because as soon as I jump in and drop down to the bottom, the very first bommy that I look underneath is loaded with good sized crays. So I drop my gun to mark the spot, head back up to the surface to let Joe know what I've found, have a bit of a breathe up and come up with a plan of attack.
Bug.
under there, bro. It's been a pretty big day in the water, but I've persevered, and for that I've been rewarded with a pretty decent sized crayfish that's now secured in the float boat. I continue my dive, and not too long after this I spot another quite good sized crayfish with its feelers sticking out from underneath the rock, so I'm actually able to spot this one from the surface. I have a quick breathe up and head down and make my approach and go for the grab. I don't quite know how we stumbled across such a sweet little spot, but there seems to be quite a few crays packed up under the rocks right in the shallows. So luckily for me, crayfish number 2 is very quickly followed by crayfish number 3, and that's me loaded up with enough crayfish for myself, my friends and my family. So after a quick chat to Joe, we decide to head back to the boat and move on to the next stage of the day. Pretty happy with that. Yeah. Mean dive. Some good crays there. Hopefully the footage comes up as good as I think it is. Mean one, brother.
That's the spot.
Oh, deadly. Oh. Yeehaw. It's the way we do it, bruv.
Just like that, in and out, 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Beautiful bugs, whānau. Crayfish is on the menu. So stoked, bro. I got a couple of really good ones. Just happy as with that. With the crayfish part of the mission completed successfully, we decided to head off in search of these beautiful greenlit mussels. So we pulled the anchor, started up and made a move. Right, last dive of the day, last mission at Crayfish Island, we're on.
Last question completed. Nice sack of mussels. Mean. Beauties. Big sack of green lip mussels. Oh, big. Fat. Pretty fat, alright, bruv. Woo. Down the hatch. The good stuff. Straight up eating that filth after that. That stuff's criminal, bro. After all that, we've just gone and gathered some of the nicest kai in the sea.
I'm eating the nicest kai.
Bro, we're literally just gone and gathered the nicest kai moana from the sea, and look what the bro's eating.
Bro, this is it. This is where it's at.
Filth. Surimi.
This is the best you'll ever
Criminal.
get.
Should be charged for that.
I'll trade crayfish for surimi.
You're gonna have so many takers on this video for that, bro. I want to say a massive thank you to the bro Joe for another epic freediving / spearfishing adventure out of Tauranga. I always love our adventures, especially the parts where we put together some awesome kai on the boat. To all of you legends watching from home, I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. If you do enjoy my content and you want to support Muddy Feet, check out www.muddyfeet.co.nz where you can get your hands on some awesome Muddy Feet merch. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode. If you have, remember to like and subscribe.